G'day everyone, welcome to another Loaded Dice Plays video. I am Loaded Dice. So last episode we tackled High Council. This time I'm going to take a look at a very interesting Hydra card. The reason I say it's interesting is that there's a lot of people who have been hot and cold on this card, and I'm also the same. I've waxed and waned trying to determine if this is a good or a not so good card, and that is Occult Research. So if we bring it up here. So we'll just run through the card real quick. It's the terms and conditions of this one is super easy. It's very simple. During the power phase, Red Skull plays 10 power and you can play the card. So the terms and conditions are just that it's done in the power phase and that Red Skull just needs 10 power to play it. So if we look to the benefits for this one, it's that Red Skull gets the Arcane Invigoration superpower, which basically means he gets 3 actions a turn. And also, everyone within 2 gets a stagger token. That one is the spicy tech to this card. So let's break this card down now. So what's the earliest opportunity that Red Skull is going to have 10 power to play this card in the power phase? Theoretically, he can play it turn 2, although he would probably need to be dazed and got severely beaten up and probably on his flip side. So I'm going to discount that and say if that's going on, you've probably made a mistake anyway. So the most likely opportunity to play this is going to be at the start of turn 3. So he gets 1 power at the start of the turn, and then he can do his superpower or consuming obsession for 2 extra power, puts him on 3. And probably a likely play pattern for him turn 1 is a move and an attack, which also gains him 1 power. So it's probably not unlikely that he's going to be on 4 power at the end of turn 1 if he doesn't interact, pay for an interact, and doesn't get attacked. Like if he's just moving, attacked, and done his superpower, he's going to be on 4 power. So into turn 2, he will be on 5, potentially 6 if his leadership's active for being on a secure or contesting something. Another all-consuming obsession will chuck him up to 8, and if he can make 2 attacks, that'll make him 10. So you can feasibly get 10 power at the end of turn 2, which means you can play this during the power phase on turn 3 reasonably reliably if you're willing to jump through those hoops. I don't think it's too unreasonable to think he can make 2 attacks on turn 2 if you think he's got a range 3 attack and it's got the weird pushes and advances and stuff on it. So I don't think it's that, it's not that unreasonable to think he's going to be able to get his 10 power in the first 2 turns if you're pushing for it and if you want to get this off on the third power phase of the game. Alright, so if we want to try to evaluate what this card will actually give you, I think the first thing we have to look at is the stagger token aura. So when he plays it in the power phase, every character, and that's friend or foe, if your character's within 2 of Red Skull, they're getting staggered as well. So everyone within 2 gets a stagger token, and that is relevant for his Arcane Invigoration superpower that he also get from this. And I think once we dive deep into this card, this is going to be the reason you're taking this card. It's going to be everyone within 2 is getting a stagger token. So it's going to be a really easy way, and I use the word easy in quotation marks, to put stagger on multiple characters, which is not something you really see. Usually stagger is a one and done sort of deal. It's not something you can really AoE out and put onto multiple characters. So it is worth noting, it is Red Skull himself who also gets staggered here. So when he does decide to activate, he will have to shake the stagger token. There is some funny stuff you can do. I think Scarlet Witch has an ability. You can kind of get rid of the stagger if you really want to work towards it and not have to shake at the start of his activation. But the other part of it is he gets to perform an additional action each activation. So basically he gets 3 actions a turn, which is insane. But if you keep in mind that if you're playing this on turn 3 and he's staggered, and if you're not taking the weird anti-stagger tech, he's going to have to shake turn 3, and it's not until turn 4 that he's going to get that extra action. And if we really break it down, I think a lot of games these days are finishing around turn 5. I don't think that's out of the ordinary to make that assumption. So it means that when it comes to the extra action, you're probably getting on average about 2 extra actions out of him if you manage to play this on turn 3 and you shake on turn 3, and in turns 4 and 5 you get your extra action. So that's something to consider. Is two extra actions worth 10 power? Because 10 power is a lot to spend, and if we really want to look at it and how it's going to function, let's assume that all those boxes have been ticked, right? So you've got your 10 power, you've played this card in the power phase, so Now, Red Skull at the start of the round is going to be on 0 power. He would have played this card, and he's staggered with the extra action available to him. But he's on 0 power, which is really relevant. Unless he takes damage, he can't just do his all-consuming obsession, pay for the count blanks, do his attack, and he can't do it for a second time. So you're only going to get 1 count blanks attack unless he takes damage from somewhere else, or if he has some sort of advanced R&D or power sharing ability in your roster, whether it's a Wong or something along those lines. You're probably not going to get the most out of Red Skull on that 3rd turn either. And also, if he's been juicing himself up, taking damage, you're not going to have his spenders online. You really are putting all of the power into this stagger AoE. So there's probably going to be a situation where if he's taken some chip damage on turn 2 and he hasn't activated yet, there's going to be a situation where you can double move, do your probably consuming obsession to be able to get up to 10 power, and then end your activation. So at the start of the next round, you can pop the bomb, and all of a sudden you're tagging 3 characters with stagger. I think this is pretty relevant in the big boy meta that we seem to be in right now, because we seem to be seeing a lot of Hulks and a lot of Malekiths. And they're countering each other, but I think a lot of other smaller guys are getting caught in the crossfire, and this could be something worth considering just to put those staggers out there. So we're going to talk about some of the cool plays he can do with his 3 actions a turn. But probably his most common play pattern is going to be on turn 4 or whatever it is. He's going to be able to do his all-consuming obsession for 2 power. And if he gets his normal power and 1 for his leadership, putting up to 4, he's going to be able to pay for gauntlets down to 2, do an attack, push him back up to 3, pay for gauntlets again, push him down to 1, do an attack, push him back up to 2, and then do a third count blanks gauntlets attack. So I think 3 count blanks gauntlets attacks is going to be very relevant because I think it averages something close to it's close to 5 hits successes on his count blanks attack, and doing 3 of those attacks in a turn, you're going to have a good chance to hit the double triggers that he has, the pushes or the blitz move. So you're going to get a bit of work out of him if he does get those 3 attacks a turn, especially the count blanks. He's going to be pretty lit. So it can't be understated that he does have to spend 10 power on this. And the funny thing with it is there's a bit of left and right to it where, yeah, it's going to cost you 10 power, but he actually gains power extremely easily, especially with his leadership and his own superpower. And the other side of the coin is he doesn't actually have a lot to spend power on. So he can spend it on the count blanks, which is probably going to do more often than not. And then he's got his 5 cost spender, which is not that much better than a count blank strike. So, like, mathematically, except for I think it's got a size 4 throw on a wild. So if you're not fishing for that size 4 throw, you're probably better off just doing as many count blank strikes as you can. So the 10 power cost of this card is a really funny one, which it seems like a lot, but it's actually not that relevant because Red Skull just doesn't spend his power as well as some other characters do, which seems to be a bit of a common theme between Red Skull and Strucker. So that pretty much wraps up the pros and cons of this card, I think. So spending 10 power is pretty big. I think the Stagger Bomb is the main appeal to this card, in my opinion, especially if you're going to bring something like the Scarlet Witch Whims of Chaos ability to remove it off of Red Skull himself. The 10 power cost is something that you're going to have to work around and play with for Red Skull's activation in the turn that he plays this. And also the third action that he gets out of this is, I'm interested to hear what people's experience on it, and if they think it's worth it for the extra action, or if it's a bit of a meme, and for the most part it is just the Stagger Bomb. So that's it for this one. I don't think this is going to be a card that we're going to see in too many competitive rosters, but I'm willing to be proved wrong. So until then, I'll see you next time.